We are all reduced as manifestations of matter to a series of systems and systems of squares, circles, and triangles. The letter G, or actually the Mayan G, is in the form of the masculine. This G is in the form of the masculine because it's the angle. Remember we talked about the angle. Either that or that. The O is formed from the circle of infinity. We know what that is. The D comes from the vocalization of God, or in the Greek, of course we're dealing with the Greek. In the third letters of the Greek is what? Come on, you so enough sisters who joined the, what? Say it out. Deltas. Come on, deltas. The delta is essentially nothing more than that. So what you have essentially is the vocalization God is derived from the symbolization of this particular concept here. Everything manifests in a system of lines, circles, or squares. God geometrizes. In the creation of all that is, everything within it, in your organs, everywhere, has a geometric pattern as its foundation. So everything in language is spoken in the form of geometric projections. All of language is about structuring a geometric concept inside of your mind so that you can what? Triangulate the meaning. Now, taking this into consideration, you're dealing with the angles of consciousness, and you will deal with the numbers of the letters according to the Greek. And the numbers of the letters according to the Greek are, and because we're functioning only under the Greek, we will give you these. Now, in the Greek, you will understand that the symbols represent the numbers 3, 6, and 4 aligned, which when added together is a total of what? But the total number of 3, 4, 6, now here's where it gets deep. The total number of 3, 4, 6, or 13 times 28, listen carefully, or the months of the lunar year, or the origin of the 52 weeks of 7 days. Are you catching up with me? The 52 weeks of 7 days each, 52 times 7 gives you what? Now we are going around the mathematical calculation of how this Earth ship spins in its orbit around the sun, and how your ancestors mapped the specific time equations for consciousness by mapping the stars and giving a sequence to the dates, which the Greeks took when they came in, which they took. And you begin to understand that each day might be named, now check it out, the total number of 364, or 13 by 28, the months of the lunar year, or the origin of 52 weeks of 7 days each, was adopted so that each day might be named for one of the then 7 known planets, or 7 galactic tones that set the harmonic construct for our consciousness at that time. All of the Hebraic deific names found in the ineffable name. Now when I say ineffable, I mean they say that it cannot be pronounced, but that's the way that they kept you so that you did not know what it was. Now all of these deific names found in the ineffable name, JHVH, IHVH, IHWH, were numerical multiples of 13. We were were taught that the number 13 was an unlucky number. Now you know why they wanted to make you think that 13 was an unlucky number. Because it was the harmonic of all the predecessor energies that brought about the tone for higher awareness. Among the signs of the zodiac, Gemini is the third. Listen to what was happening back then. Gemini was the third sign. Cancer or Virgo was the sixth sign. And Cancer was the fourth. Listen carefully. Heru was Gemini stretched out on the table. I know you've seen this particular glyph before. Heru was Gemini stretched out on the table, and you saw that Ast was at his head and Nephthys was at his feet, and they were about to resurrect Osa, which is essentially nothing more than a glyph to denote the coming of the spring, the coming of the vernal equinox. That's all it meant. Our ancestors, now check this, our ancestors also had computations of calendar years at various periods so that the analogy between 364 or God, the name pronounced and made up of these number letters, JHVH, was in line with the same philosophy that turned 365 days and 6 hours into JHVH. Check it. By dividing each digit through the 30 degrees of the month. Here is how JHVH, or Yahweh, was secretly cloaked or hidden in symbolism. I'll do this and then we'll have a break, because it's going to get heavy. Check it. The so-called signs of the zodiac, called the day houses of the planets, were made according to the Chaldean matrix 3,000 years. It's 3,000 years before the creation of Abraham from Brahma. Because you know Abraham came from Brahma. Check it. Abraham. Abraham. All they did was switch it around. Abraham, the high father, was Brahma, pent from the Vedic texts. Now, according to the Chaldean matrix, with the alignment from the left to right, we are as follows. Now listen carefully and watch carefully. And I'll get this to you and we're going to have a little break, because after we start doing this, we're going to get into the other part of the matrix. Now, a line from left to right was as follows. We had Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and all of this has to do with language. Just setting you up. Listen carefully. Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. Ooh, this chalk goes faster. The planets attributed to these houses were as follows. You know what's better? Let me do this. Okay, give us a little room here. All right, the planets in sequence were Okay? Now, at that time, the names for the week were as follows. Okay, hold on, let me get this right. Okay. Up. Boo-boo. Okay. Saturday, right? After Saturday. Ah, here's where the culprit was. Ah, okay. Okay, you got that? Now, remember, we have to apply the numbers to each. Okay, get those down. Now, the days were set, just like the planets were set, in order of their velocity around the sun. You did not just haphazardly name the week. The day was named after, or the planet, of the velocity of the sun. So the velocity of the sun dictated which day of the week it would be. It was the Romans under Caligula and those sickos that began changing up the dates and the calendars and the months. Because they didn't care. Hey, let's just make this Wednesday because we had a great time the last Wednesday, so we'll make this Wednesday. And they did it like that. That's why you got a month like September, which is the 7th month. Sept is the 9th month. That's why you have October, which is 8, Oct, as the 10th month. And December, which is the 10, Deca, as your 12th. Everything is screwed up. So now, when you understand that, here's the deal. With the geometric languaging of God, you must understand that the cube or the square block, the cornerstone in masonry, geometrically has 6 sides, which is what we're speaking about. The cubes, the 2 cubes, are what are known as polarity foundations of matter, when added up singularly become, and listen carefully, because all of this will make sense. You got this down? Put it down. Because everything I'm constructing here is something you're going to go back and say, oh, I remember Brother Valentine talked about this. Now I can see clearly now. And you then overstand and say, well, no, he's lying. She's lying. Here, Mr. Preacher Man, here, TD, this is what it is. You lying, Mr. Snakes. This is what it is. Listen carefully. They ain't going to teach you this in masonry school. Matter of fact, the brother Masons are not doing the job. Sister Masons and so forth ain't doing their job. We're supposed to be having this constantly. Constantly. This is the church. Let's get busy. Each cube has 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Check? So, you're dealing with, I'm going to put the numbers down. Now, each cube has 6 sides. When you add up the numbers from 1 to 12, you understand that the first 6, when done, now when you add them, the 2 cubes of foundations, when added up singularly, become 1 to 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. When that comes together, you get 21. When you take the rest of the numbers, 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 plus 11 plus 12, they equal 57. Now you know you can juxtapose it and put it under whatever you want. Listen carefully. As these numbers from 1 to 12, which are the numbers of the apostles, the numbers of creation, the 12 tissue salts that you have within your body, everything that is being created is knitted in a constructural matrix of 12. All physical matter for this consciousness time zone is that. That is why you had 12 DNA helixes and you were purposefully shut down and light code locked down by the shutting off of the top parts of your DNA. Set your envelope further and you get 58 plus 21, which equals 78, which factors down to, sorry. Wait, hold on. I forgot to put something in between that. That would have put us back around to that. Sorry about that. Let me get to this point because I'm trying to rush so you can get your break. I don't know. Oh. Okay. Okay, here we are. The ancients express hey, okay, hey. All right? Hey, that is hey, who will always be, he who will always be. Yod, which was equal to 10. He, which is equal to 5. Wa, which is equal to 6. And he again. Was that right? No. That's better. Which is equal to 5 again. Now, all that comes down to what? When you add them together, 57, put it down and explain it later, equals 12, which equals 3. Three, 6, 4 equals 13, which equals 4. And 21 equals the 3. I'm going up here to do the sequencing now. Now, the secret to the Hebrew language is in its representation. Hebrew. He means a window through which light filters, to see, to behold. That is perception. It responds to the zodiac sign Aries, which is fire. It is the 5th letter, so it represents man as distinguished from all other sentient life. To brew, I'm going to come back to it. To brew means to cook, to heat, or to create something out of fire. So colloquially, Hebrew means the fire or the perceiver or the perception who creates something that's perceived. Thus, the Hebrew language is represented in alphabetical symbols secretly known as fire glyphs. This is why we call it Kumedu. Each letter is actually a flick from the flames of perception. Each letter in the Hebrew alphabet is a flick from the flames of perception. In other words, when this particular thing was written, the specific light inside of the head was igniting that particular light filter we call the kundalini, which was inside of the pineal, and the sparks that were being given off were creating specific flames of perception. They began to write in what it is that they perceived. So the letters of those who had tranced the information began to form. So as if you look at Hebrew, you would see in certain structures that it is actually flames that were burning. You're looking at the fire of perception and how they molded language through the fire. If you put up a torch and you see it flick, sometimes fires burning, and you would see it, a piece come up, and it would be like distinct from the others. This is how they perceived. When the fire was burning inside, the consuming fire of Kundalini, they saw words as flames, and the perception spoke to them. In your Bible, they spoke about the fact that Moses went up to the mount, and he looked at this bush, this flaming bush, and the bush spoke at him, and that bush was speaking in the fire language. And he saw and he put down the 10 commandments. These 10 commandments were 10 emanations from the center of God. And those centers of God began to become sentences from God. And these sentences, which were from the centers, began to give the flick, the fire. That's why your tongue is like this. Now, ladies, don't get the bad idea now. This is purely educational. Look. Flame! Your tongue. Where you think Christians get the tongues of fire from? All that bullshit they talk about speaking in tongues. That's bullshit. They don't say nothing. The reason why they speak in tongues and they can't speak what is real is because the language is too strong for the context, the specific perceptual context that Christianity has them locked down into. And the language won't contain it. So they mumble like jackasses. They don't know what it is that they're speaking about. Ask them to interpret what the fuck they said. They don't know. You ain't supposed to speak a language and not know what the hell you're talking about. Telling you've been possessed by. That's demons possessing your ass. Talking about God possessed me to speak in tongues. You go down to the Bible right now and you turn to Psalms 119. Somebody come up here and tell me what you see. Please, brother. Read off the top of every one from 119, the top of every stanza. No. Just the specific titles. You what? Oh, hey, come on, look out. So what? If you are a Christian, you are being a good Jew. And you don't even know it because Psalm 19 heads off with 8 standards apiece. And 8 is the number of power. It is 7 to the harmonic. And the 7 days that God supposedly rested. Now, if you take the 22 stanzas that have been named here in Psalms 19, and you go to the meanings of each one of these alphabets, you will see that encoded within this particular structure are the meanings for each one of these particular letters. But you read the damn thing, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm not mad at y'all, brothers and sisters. Understand and understand that the so-called Hebrew, which I do not call Hebrew anymore, I call it the Kumedu, which is more in tune with the fire letters. You see, Kumedu is the fire words. Medunetra is the words of God that were transduced into the Kumedu for you to understand how to comprehend through the fire, the creative fire from within, when you raise your kundalini and your first eye begins to spark. Do you know that after you have sparked the inner eye, that concerning spectral harmonic, do you know that right after you have raised kundalini, a great shower takes place inside for 40 days and 40 nights inside your brain? Do you know what that is? Come on, you good Bible thumpers. For 40 days and 40 nights, the crystalline dew from your corpus calostrum rains down upon your pineal. Yes, the flood of Noah. Noah is the pineal. Understand that the ark is the ark of the covenant, which is the covenant to know, and that you will be resurrected in the days. Now check it out. After the crystalline dew has fallen from within, do you know that there is a spectral arc that covers your pineal, and that Kirlian photography has shown that the pineal has a rainbow over it? Did you know that? Now, where did you see about this rainbow? What did they say about the rainbow after the flood? It was the sign of the covenant. Yes. That is the Ark of the Covenant. It's the rainbow that appears over the top of the pineal. After you have raised Kundalini, the fires of the volcano have come up and changed the atmosphere inside of the sky that is there, called your corpus calostrum. It rains down the crystalline dew that saturates the lamp of God that taketh away the sins of the world. The lamp of God that taketh away the sins of the world. I am Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. When you raise your kundalini, you must raise the 12 cell salts. Those 12 cell salts hardened the pineal, so that now when you raise kundalini, you have that match that sparks the light, that lights the lamp of God, that taketh away the ignorance of the world. And when that fire goes up, just like that consuming fire, it opens up the heavens and a deluge falls down. Manna falls from heaven. It is you. The Bible is all you, beloved brothers and sisters. And we will come back now. Hebrew letters are flame letters, and as perception of life is based on the breath of life is seen in the dance of the flame. Listen carefully. The breath of life is seen on the dance of the flame. So if you go through Hebrew alphabet, if you go through the 22 primary letters, and if you see how they are then from our yard, all the rest of them, there are flames that dance because they dance on the breath. When you breathe these words, when you speak these words, they become as flames that dance. That's why you curl them in your tongue, because your tongue is a representation of the fire. And it dances like the fire because it was meant to speak the fire. The flame words, the words of light that create. But now we only use them colloquially. And because our body is so degenerated, we cannot harness the necessary energies to create the atomic fission that would bring about the life process, that would bring about manifestation. We can only mimic the tones. We can only mimic the tunes. Until we resurrect this temple, until we begin to reorganize and restructure the molecular envelope, we will never be able to use those for their efficiency. Instantaneously create. The only way we can see that is Steven Spielberg giving you. And you see what they do? They took your words and now they're using it in the form of special effects on television and in the movies to make you believe that they can weave magic with light. When you were the magic, you had the ability to use words to do the same damn thing that Steven Spielberg does on screen. You can do it in real life because he's using your language. That ain't the Jews' language. It's your language. And with that, we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back. God that taketh away the sins of the world. I am Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. When you raise your kundalini, you must raise the 12 cell salts. Those 12 cell salts hardened the pineal, so that now when you raise kundalini, you have that match that sparks the light, that lights the lamp of God, that taketh away the ignorance of the world. And when that fire goes up, just like that consuming fire, it opens up the heavens and a deluge falls down. Manna falls from heaven. It is you. The Bible is all you, beloved brothers and sisters. And we will come back now. Hebrew letters are flame letters, and as perception of life is based on the breath of life is seen in the dance of the flame. Listen carefully. The breath of life is seen on the dance of the flame. So if you go through Hebrew alphabet, if you go through the 22 primary letters, and if you see how they are then from our yard, all the rest of them, there are flames that dance because they dance on the breath. When you breathe these words, when you speak these words, they become as flames that dance. That's why you curl them in your tongue, because your tongue is a representation of the fire. And it dances like the fire because it was meant to speak the fire. The flame words, the words of light that create. But now we only use them colloquially. And because our body is so degenerated, we cannot harness the necessary energies to create the atomic fission that would bring about the life process, that would bring about manifestation. We can only mimic the tones. We can only mimic the tunes. Until we resurrect this temple, until we begin to reorganize and restructure the molecular envelope, we will never be able to use those for their efficiency. Instantaneously create. The only way we can see that is Steven Spielberg giving you. And you see what they do? They took your words and now they're using it in the form of special effects on television and in the movies to make you believe that they can weave magic with light. When you were the magic, you had the ability to use words to do the same damn thing that Steven Spielberg does on screen. You can do it in real life because he's using your language. That ain't the Jews' language. It's your language. And with that, we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back.